Well, it's that time of the week again for Sterlo's wrap-up. Yes, 22 rounds down, or are we heading into the 22nd round? I'm starting to lose count at this time of the year, Peter Sterling.
No, 22 come out, and I had to check as well.
It just boggles my mind just to think how fast this season has gone. And this
boggles my mind how I tipped this weekend.
How many? Oh, come
Not
on.
enough. I got 2.
Yes. I don't know how many I got, but I'm hoping
We
it's
had
more
some
than
upsets.
that.
We had some upsets.
There were plenty of points scored. Let's go back to Thursday night. We kicked it off at ANZ Stadium. Not many people there to watch this, but the Bulldogs, in the end, comprehensive win over the Broncos, 36 points to 22.
Yeah, clearly their best performance of the season. They kind of shell-shocked the Broncos, who were very, very disappointing, but the Bulldogs play with a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. They didn't get nervous, particularly late in this game, even though they conceded late tries. They really never looked like that this game was going to get away from them in that second half. So it was a wonderful performance and a really uplifting one for the Bulldogs and their fans, who've done it pretty tough of late. First time they've put wins back-to-back this season, so their form of late is good. Got away to a great start. I imagine the Broncos have been bemoaning the fact that Corbin Sims, who'd come on off the interchange bench, scored 2 tries, went this close right on the stroke of half-time, which actually could have tied the scores up at 16-all, or maybe had the Broncos leading 18-16. Now, psychologically, that could have been a blow to the Bulldogs. I think they got the call right. I think Corbin's elbow touches the ground right there, and there is a second motion to get the ball over the line. You don't see many interchange players score a hat-trick before half-time. We still didn't see it. But in the end, there's no doubt that despite that call going against them, the Broncos were the inferior side on the night, and Wayne Bennett particularly disappointed. He said it was a danger game coming into it because they'd struggled to beat sides down lower on the ladder. Well, that call was justified again.
Certainly was. Let's head to Friday night, the early kickoff in Newcastle. The Knights trying to get the better of the Tigers. Wasn't the way it played out, though. The West Tigers 25-16, and hoping that it's not all too little too late, Pete.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it? And again, we go back to losing last week, which really hurt their chances. They'd have only been 2 points out of the 8. At this moment, if they'd have got away with that one. But it was a good win. Luke Brooks, clearly the best player on the field. They had a few concerns out there. Benji Marshall, a calf injury, so that restricted his game. But Newcastle came back at them hard, and that was after losing Mitchell Pearce just into the second half with a really bad cork. So when Kalen Ponga scored his try and then Aidan Guerra forced his way across, all of a sudden Newcastle were close enough, if good enough, but Luke Brooks nailed a field goal, put the issue beyond doubt. So pretty good performance from the West Tigers, but I think they are just going to miss out.
Straight after that match, it was the game of the round, perhaps one of the games of the season. The Rabbitohs hosting the Storm at South Sydney, leapfrogging them into top spot with a 30 points to 20 win, perhaps. A grand final preview, or at least one of the teams will come from that match.
Well, I heard Andrew John say that the second 40 minutes for the South Sydney side in this game was the best that he'd seen all year, and it's hard to argue with that. Now, this is a South Sydney side that trailed 16-6 at one stage against the best team at closing down a lead and also controlling the play-the-ball area. Now, they were unable to do both. And in the end, the scoreline maybe flatters Melbourne a little bit more than it should, because South Sydney was so good in this game. And what a confidence builder. They've got Greg Inglis to come back into this side, probably 2 weeks away. But to me, the standout was Damien Cook, who is the point of difference. Now, this try here that he sets up, I know he scored a fantastic individual one, but look at how he spooks the defenders. Cameron Smith is the second marker. Second marker is not supposed to go where the dummy half is going if his first marker is going that way. Now, that's the effect that Damien Cook has, his speed. And all of a sudden, by Cameron Smith going that way as the first marker, it put Billy Slater under all sorts of pressure as first defender on the other side. And that's how Damien Cook is affecting teams at the moment, because he's getting a great platform from his forwards, the Burgess boys, and I am going to group them all together, but Sutton and Crichton been fantastic. He's getting quick play the balls, and Cook gets out better than any other number 9 in the competition. He's the Australian hooker at the end of the season. He will be. Just confirmed that against Cameron Smith in this game. And South Sydney, what a game it sets up this weekend that we've got on Friday night, because they go in, excuse the pun, but cock a hoop against the Roosters come Friday.
It's going to be a beauty right here on night. Let's head to the footy on Saturday. You talk about your tipping and the troubles. The Warriors, they're your favourite team when it comes to tipping. This time, when many had written them off, they got the job done in Wollongong 18-12 over the Dragons.
Oh yeah, look, it was a wonderful performance, and I was really keen to see how both of these sides reacted to the previous week, where they were really poor. The Gold Coast were behind the Warriors 12-8 at half time and ran away with it in the second half. So how do they come out and defend the line like they did in this final half hour? Because they did. They got away to an 18-0 lead, and in the first 10 minutes of the second half, we saw the Dragons start storming back. It's 18-12 with half an hour to go, and you just think, well, here we go again. And those 18 points were scored basically with Matt Duffy in the sin bin.
Yep.
So it was a significant 10 minutes going into half time. But this kind of defence on their line is what impressed us about the Warriors early in the season. The amount of shots that the Dragons had this close to the line in the second half, it was just repelled every time by such a resilient Warriors defence that when you think if they carry this into finals football, yeah, they can do something. And I think the last tackle of the game here from Adam Blair, who's a really key member, sums up, that's the last tackle of the game. Jason Nightingale gets creamed there. And to me, that kind of summed up their second half performance, coming out of the line, getting the job done and forcing an error with the final play of the game for the Dragons to try and force into extra time. Wonderful performance from the Warriors. There's doubts about the Dragons, who have now lost something like 5 of their last 6 and have hit a flat spot. Paul Vaughan might be on the sideline for an extended period. Big month coming up for both of these clubs. But Stephen Kearney would be delighted by what he saw.
They needed that, and they got it. Straight after that, the Eels and the Titans. It was a hard game to pick this one. 28-12 going the way of Parramatta, and now a chance to avoid that wooden spoon on the back of it.
Yeah, really soft start from the Gold Coast Titans. Timmy Manning doesn't score a lot of tries, but he was able to force his way across, and that set up the Eels. They led 22-8 at the break, and were never going to be run down. Again, conceded a couple of points. Intercept pass wasn't a beauty that set up a late try for the Gold Coast Titans, but the damage was done in the first 40 minutes. Jared Hayne was excellent again. There was maybe a sign of the future. Bevan French actually spent the last 10 minutes on the sideline, so I'm not quite sure how Coach Brad Arthur is looking to fit players in at the moment in regards to what positions they want to play. Bevan French came out and said he wants to be the fullback. That doesn't look like it's going to happen in the short term. So good win. But now a tough run home for the Parramatta side. They've got the Dragons this week. They've got Melbourne. They've also got the Roosters. They played the North Queensland Cowboys, I think, round 24. That might be a crucial game for both clubs.
Yeah, both teams trying to avoid that dreaded wooden spoon. You mentioned the Roosters and that battle with the Rabbitohs coming up this Friday. They've warmed up for it with a 26-20 win over the Cowboys. Repelling a late comeback, though, Saturday night at Allianz.
Yeah, I made the point that there's no such thing as a comfortable lead in the NRL. And, the Roosters looked like they had one, but this North Queensland side, and it was Jonathan Thurston inspired in the last 20 minutes of this game. They came back. I thought at one stage that the Roosters were going to be run down and we were going to have some extra time. And we'll look at a couple of moments in the last 5 minutes, which showed how close that they did. But look, it was a sparkling performance at times from the Roosters, but the fact that it got so tight at the end would concern Trent Robinson. No Luke Keary in this game. Ryan Madison played at 5'8", and so there was, I suppose, a lack of continuity there in relation to the type of football they played of late. But take nothing away from North Queensland. They showed a lot of heart in this game, and this is how close they went to forcing it into extra time. I thought Jonathan Thurston's through there, and Jake Friend came up with a crucial tackle. And have a look at Jake Granville as he's about to stretch out and put the football down here, because it doesn't get much closer than that. So he scores there, and this is 2 minutes to go.
There's Jake Friend again.
That's converted, and everything's locked up. But the Roosters got the job done, and I think the kind of performance where Trent Robinson would say, yeah, happy with the 2 competition points, got ourselves in a really good position. Why did it start to get away from us? And that's what they'll work on in regards to this South Sydney clash.
The Sunday games, Pete, 2 scorelines that we've never seen before in the National Rugby League. The first was 33-32, a Golden Point thriller, with the Seagulls beating the Sharks. And look, 2 things notable out of this. Cronulla, they're not involved in many high point scoring matches. And usually they're the team that can grind out a win and win it at the death, but it wasn't the case at home.
Yeah, normally if it's a tight match, they somehow find themselves in front after the 80th minute. Well, we had to go past the 80th minute in this game. And Manly got away to a good start. Cronulla rounded them up, and you just thought, okay, well, we've seen Manly's best now. But again, to their credit, they hung at it and got the necessary points. And that field goal there from Cherry Evans, isn't that beautiful to watch? Goes to his right, comes back because the defence is getting to him. He's done it before, the left foot field goal. What a nice thing to have in your arsenal, that you can kick with both feet. And that was the most crucial point scored in a lot of points that afternoon.
Oh, yeah. Are they away from the wooden spoon safely now, do you think, Manly Seagulls on that one?
Yeah, probably, yeah. I think so. I think so. I think that's put pressure elsewhere. And if they play like that and win another game or two, definitely.
Yeah. So that was 33-32. And then we were at Panther Stadium and got dished up a 40 points to 31 scoreline. One of the more bizarre games, but as Pete, as you said in commentary, on a sunny Sunday afternoon on a fast track and two teams that love to run the ball, we should have been expecting something like this.
I had a great time watching this. As a neutral observer, it was fantastic because both sides, at their best when they're running the football, are the most entertaining to watch. And there was so much entertainment. Not for Ricky Stewart, certainly, and not for Anthony Griffin, but it was a joy to watch because we had 12 tries and we had momentum changes. There was errors in there. There was terrible defence. But as a spectacle, what good fun to watch. Now, the concerns for Penrith is the fact that they got behind so far on the scoreboard once again and had to storm home. You can't take that into finals football. They have to be able to win games with their defence. For Canberra, it's just a continuing trend that they have where they can score a lot of points, but they're on the wrong side of the scoreline. And to lead by 14 in this game at one stage and get beaten again, it's you just can't play finals football based on that. I will say that going back, normally I'm a fan of field goals. I think, to put aside 7 clear or 13 clear, I think that's a really good ploy. I question this decision from Sam Williams, 15 minutes out, to make it 31-24. Now, the opposition had to score twice to win the game anyway. They had just turned down an opportunity to kick a penalty goal from in front only moments earlier. And all of a sudden it takes you down the other end of the field. Now, all afternoon, Canberra had been really positive, like offloads, passing. That was a conservative moment. And in the end, I think it came back to bite them because Penrith, as I say, went down the other end, had to score twice, were capable of doing so, and did exactly that. Normally, I love a field goal. I think that one ended up being counterproductive, which is easy to say after the event. But I thought at the time, I mentioned in commentary, there was kind of stunned silence when it happened because it was so out of whack with the game we were seeing.
Timing's everything when it comes to the field goal.
Yeah, maybe with 6 to go instead of 16 to go might have been the better time.
Very true. What an amazing round it was. Good stuff, Pete. Great to catch up as always. Sterlo's wrap-up of a Monday. Plenty of points being scored over the weekend. We're heading into the 22nd round this week, and it starts Thursday night live on 9. The Cowboys playing host to the Broncos.